What was the biggest red flag on the first date that there wouldn't be a second date? I met a guy on the internet, so we met for the first time for coffee. He had a black eye and a cut on his cheek, so I asked him what happened, and he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "You look injured," and he said, "No, I'm not, everything is fine." Tinder. Her profile said 24, I was 25. She turned out to be 17. I had a guy who looked at me like he was utterly transfixed and started basically implying how relieved he was to finally find the one. Not in so many words, but he was acting like you'd expect someone to act after his proposal had been accepted. Like, all loved up and somehow relieved? He drove me home and started singing some dumb country song with the line, "I finally found a soft place to fall," whilst looking sidelong at me. I was freaked the fuck out. He didn't even know my surname. We'd made out one time. They won't stop talking about themselves and what they've done, and where they went to school and what job they have, etc., and never ask you any questions or let you speak. For me, it was when she mentioned that she was not single, but did, in fact, have a husband, but it is okay because he has been in jail for about 5 years and will not be released for at least 6 months. Getting shit-faced drunk and throwing up in a street corner. I was ghosted after that. Well, now, she or he got wasted and ghosted you? Or are you the drunk in question? I'm the drunk in question. Well, we both were, but only I got wasted. Guess I got overconfident and carried away. Had a guy who insisted on buying the most expensive pizza at the restaurant despite my protests, then kissed my head when he walked past me to use the restroom. After dinner we walked along the waterfront, he kissed me and then immediately tried to choke me to be sexy. First date, last date. Had a date once where things were going pretty well. As we're given the check, she asks my age, so I told her. I was 1 year younger than her, and she immediately facepalmed and said, "Oh, I didn't know you were younger than me." Not a red flag in a negative way towards her personality, but a reaction was all I needed to know there wouldn't be a second date. Things were going really well, then at the end of the date they leaned in for a kiss and sort of licked my mouth, then licked it again twice from the middle of my chin right up to my nose, while holding me in a passionate embrace. Then they acted really normal, like this is how people kiss people. He told me I should learn to make better life choices because I'd bleached the bottom half of my hair in a 20-minute lecture about hair care. He suggested more than once that he'd be happy to help me find a hairstyle that suited me, as well as a few new outfits that would fit my figure better than what I was wearing at. I'm aware bleaching my hair is bad for it. I bleached only the bottom half for that reason. He gave off very controlling, condescending, and straight rude vibes. No second date. I might be late to this spot. The worst first date I went on, we went for a walk on the beach, and he started commenting on the female lifeguards' bodies and saying how their body types are his favorite, how gorgeous they are, beautiful, etc., etc., while I am walking right next to him looking nothing like these lifeguards. It was so awkward, we did not talk during the car ride back. She almost immediately started going on about the legal battle she was having with her ex about getting their kid vaccinated and how vaccines were a big plot by Bill Gates. I paid for the drinks, said no way would this work, and left. Whole date from start to finish lasted less than 15 min. I've tried every drug apart from heroin because I don't like needles. It was probably a bit mean of me to immediately point out heroin can be smoked. He also told me in detail how he shoplifted the t-shirt he was wearing and the bottle of rose wine he drank before our date. An actual statement. Yeah, I don't drive, I don't work, and I have no intention of going back to school. So if this works out, you would have to do everything, including driving me places. I paid for the ice cream, mine, because he said he didn't want any. As I was paying, he grabbed a second spoon and ate over half. No second date. Insulting my tattoo. Yes. Had a date with a lad who was like this. He said he wasn't into them, but you could clearly see I had tattoos in my profile pics. When I asked why, he said they were often poorly done and chosen on impulse. I was so offended but kept my cool and asked him if he thought mine were poorly done, and he began to squirm. He said he would make an exception. Then after dinner at deli, he took me to run an errand he needed to do. I decided to go home early, got a pizza and drank the rest of the booze I had in my flat. Girl told me she'd never date a short guy. Okay, but I don't date shallow girls. I left. I'm 6 feet tall, BTW. I once had a guy show up to a date in nothing but a towel. It was a reference to a conversation we had had at one point, but when I tried to tell him it made me uncomfortable and was not funny and then got in my car and left, he followed me in his car through the neighborhood, trying to pull up next to me to tell me it was just a joke. At one point I pulled into a driveway to turn around, and he trapped me in and threw the towel in the back of my truck in an attempt to show me that he was harmless. Definitely did not continue that date, nor did we have a second one, but I do kind of enjoy the thought of his walk of shame back into the house if he had no alternate clothing. He pressed me for personal information about my last relationship that I was not ready to share with him at the time. I politely told him we could talk about anything he wanted as things progressed. He leaned back in his chair for about a minute, acting like he was bored, pretending to sleep. I got up, grabbed my coat and walked out. The guy told me that it was questionable that I was living with a male roommate and that he wanted me to move. Also lied about his nationality, probably because of a bad reputation they have with their neighbors, but that I wasn't even aware of at that point. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment which is your favorite and be sure to like and subscribe for future videos. Woof.